If you're thinking about starting a business, one key to have in your mind is the production possibility curve. I watched a fantastic video from Derek Moneyberg, and I'll attach a link to him. This guy has some serious wisdom, and I'll start chopping up some of his clips and putting them in my videos because I love this guy's work. And one key he had was, do not get into a game that you cannot make $1 billion in. If you're getting into a profession and there is not $1 billion in it, do not do it, he's advising. And I love this idea. What he's essentially saying is there needs to be huge upside to get into a game. And this makes perfect sense. With this production possibility curve, if I use the example here, say you're in a business for 1 year, then 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, often you'll have an exponential growth. And say the production possibility is 100,000 and you tap out at that. This is a real nightmare scenario because you've just spent 10 years of your life which you'll never get back. I had a scary realization the other day that the true limited resource in life is our time. So you've wasted a true limited resource with your years here, right? That you're never going to get back, that I'm never going to get back as well. So this is a huge cost. So we need to be in a game that has massive upside, huge potential upside. So say we're in this for 10 years, we make nothing, we even lose money, and then bang, 1 bill. So it doesn't matter as much about your challenges because say you had your 10 years again, who cares? Now you're a billionaire. Now you're super, super wealthy. It won't matter about the hard times. Obviously they're horrible, but they're not as painful because you're going to have such an upside to make up for that. So before getting into any game, do your research to make sure the money that you want is there. So for example, I work for a wine company and I know guys who are still there, so they're career wine consultants, which is a cool career to have, and it has some prestige, and these guys are wine experts, and it's a sexy game in a lot of ways. I really fell in love with the wine game as well, and I'll do some videos about wine. I have a lot of knowledge around wine. But I asked, who's doing the best here? And they said, oh, there's this guy in Australia and he's doing 1 million. I said, whoa, 1 million, that's impressive. I could see that would be really nice. And I asked a little bit more though, luckily. And I said, hey, so 1 million, so okay, how much wine does he sell for that? They said, no, Dad, that's the amount of wine he sells. So they were talking about wine sales, not his commission. So I knew that the commission was 18%, even if he's getting more, say he's getting 20% or 25%, he's making $250,000. Now that is a lot. However, for being the best in the world, I would have thought there'd be more possibility as far as production, more altitude that he could have got to there. And another key there is he was still working as an employee as such, really. In a lot of ways, it was an employee structure. You need to really become your own owner. You need to become a boss, essentially, to really get altitude here. If you look at Robert Kiyosaki, he has a fantastic book called Retire Young, Retire Rich, which completely changed my mind on a lot of things. And one key he was talking about was leverage. So if we look at the typical business model, it really goes like this. It goes like this in an ideal scenario. So it gradually inclines. Or it goes like this. Boom. Most things in the universe go like that, either up or down too. So this is like the saying, you're either spiraling up or you're spiraling down. Owen from RSD mentions this, and he's got such a great wisdom when it comes to this because it's so true. So you really want to get on a spiral up. If we look at a mortgage, it works the opposite to that. So say you loan 100,000, the first 10 years you pay only 10% of your principal down, so you're about 90,000 after 10 years. And then the next 10 you pay 20. So in the first 20 years so here's 10, and here's another 10, so that's 20. You'd be down to 70,000, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So only in the last 10 years do you pay your mortgage down. Only in the last 10 years. So business works a lot like this. So it takes a lot of time and it compounds. It does not just add up, it multiplies. So if we look at my video with the golf challenge, I got this idea from Anthony Robbins, and he talks about how he was challenged to a game of golf by this millionaire. And he said, okay, Tony, let's start with 50 cents. It's 18 holes and let's double up each time. And Tony goes, oh, it's 50 cents, 18 holes. How bad can it be? And it's only the last 5 holes where it starts to get ridiculous. And I'll ruin the video. Stop it now if you want to watch it, but I'll ruin it right now. It's 64,000 something. So it starts at 50 cents, ends up at 64,000. This is the thing about compounding. So at the moment I'm in Romania, and my wife's been having a go at me for not knowing a lot of Romanian. And I'm out learning Romanian each and every day. And to her it seems like I know nothing. So she sees it like I'm literally like this, with my Romanian, just knowing nothing. What I know though is I'm going a little bit each day, and it's a little bit each day, a little bit each day, a little bit each day, and it's starting to look like that already. Because people are starting to say to me, wow, you actually know quite a lot. To a person who doesn't know Romanian, I'm already through the roof. And I have a confidence in the process here, and that's the beautiful thing. Having the ideas, we can be confident in our wisdom. And that's where you get these gentlemen who, they lose all their money, and then people say, oh, you know, what's going to happen now? And then they just go make it again. You know, I've seen interviews where people have said, hey, what happens if you lose all your money? They're like, well, I'll earn it again, because they've got the mentality. And when I understood this idea, I got this from one of my team members. And it's a good example about how everyone can teach us, because this gentleman's name's Josh, and he was one of my team members, really cool guy. And he gave this idea to me about production possibility curve, and it helped me so much assess whether to put my time into a business or not. For example, I really love photo and video at the moment, and I'm really passionate about it. And one of my favorite photographers at the moment, his name's Eric Kim, he put out a video saying that he's making 200,000. So that's a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure I've earned pretty similar to that in the past myself. It's good money. However, I want to earn $1 million plus now. So I don't really see photo and video giving me the money that I want. I can't see a road to making $1 million a year with photo and video. Of course there is, but I just can't personally see for myself that road. And so with my skills, I've seen another road with a telemarketing company, essentially, that I can see $1 million being made. Not easily, obviously it's going to be a challenge, but with my skill set and with my advantages and disadvantages, I can see a $1 million business ahead of me. And I'll do a video documenting my journey with this, because today was the first day I really did this, set it up, and there's some real keys that you could benefit from. And so I hope you understand this production possibility curve, because another thing is you may plateau. So you may say after a year or so get to 100,000 and then plateau. And then say after another year you might get to 150, 200, and then plateau again. And so this is what really happened with my wife and I with our financial advice brokerage. Was we tapped out and we couldn't really scale it, as far as we couldn't find people with our skill set to work with us, as far as we couldn't just find people who would want to be advisors as well. And we couldn't, and I didn't know anyone else who's really scaled it as well. So I still can't think of an example of a company that's really pulled this off to really smash. And so the problem with financial advice, I feel, is it's a sales role. So we're selling insurance essentially, but it was also very regulated, and there was a lot of advice and a lot of paperwork. So you had to be a good salesperson, which I am and my wife is, but you also have to be really good with paperwork. So my wife was a perfect combo, really, because she was good at sales and paperwork, where I was really good just at the sales. And I did not really come across a lot of people who were good at paperwork and sales. Sometimes I come across people who were good at sales, and that was very rare, to be honest. And I'd often find people who were good at paperwork. But it's finding a unique combination of person to do that role. This is just from my experience. And so it really, really plateaued. So that's where you want to be in a game where even if it takes you some time, there's really a growth that will happen, and you can have that knowledge that that possibility is out there, and you can have that confidence to know it will happen. So say like me in Romania, I know that I spend enough time chipping away, learning more and more, I'm going to become fluent in Romanian. That's my commitment, that's what I'm going to do. And so with your business, you know there's money in it. Each and every step you take is getting you close towards that. It multiplies and you'll get there. Another key I want to say here is when you're starting a business, you need to be optimistic. That's not the time for pessimism. I'm a big fan of pessimism. I've sold insurance for 5 years, and it's life insurance. Nothing's darker than that. I can be truly pessimistic. I can be truly, I'm not naive. However, what I want to really stress here is when you're starting a business, for example, I'm starting this telemarketing company. Now's not the time to bring in negative Nelly. What I need to do is set it up, ride the positive wave. Once it's up and running, I'm bringing in money. Then I can bring in the negative Nellies and go, hey, what am I not seeing here? Where are the rest? Of course, there's some thought of this. I've had some thought of this, but what I'm trying to say here is the energy needs to be overly positive, because think about it. Say you and I got into a business and then straight away we started going on and on and on about the negatives that could happen. So say we get into, say whatever business, say a marketing company, and just each day all we talked about was the negatives. What could go wrong here with tax? What could go wrong here with legal concerns? What could go wrong here with this and the other? What if we never get a client? This is just not the time. And I notice so many people who are in jobs, straight away when you talk to them about a business idea, they go straight to negatives, which is fair enough. I'm not trying to minimize it. Like I said, I'm pro talking about the negatives. That's a big key to being successful. If you look at, say, the game of chess, being aware of where you're weak is a huge benefit. But you also need to be optimistic to want to win the game, to know how to play the game, and to be focusing on winning the game. And that's what business is about, focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. So my carrot for my business is, hey, doing $1 million in a year, building a team, helping people get good advice, helping advisors make more money. So I've got so many positives to ride on. And yes, there's negatives there, but I'm going to use that positive energy to surf my way to success and to not get too caught up. Because what you've probably noticed is a lot of these negative people, they never are successful. It's hard enough to get up each day with a positive mindset, let alone a negative one. So I hope you found this beneficial with the production possibility curve. This really changed the game for me. I hope this helps you keep an eye on what game you're in and make sure there's big money in it, rather than waste your precious time. If money is your goal, obviously that's something I'm assuming here, seeing as my channel is called The Wealth Connoisseur. And obviously money is not everything, but it gives you the freedom to then do what you really love. What I find interesting about that as well is one of my loves big time is video and photo, and it's something I'm passionate about. And as soon as I do a project for anyone, people go to me, oh, are you charging? Are you getting paid? This, that, and the other. This is a love and a hobby. The reason I'm able to do this, I did this beautiful video last week with a fitness model. The reason I'm able to do this is because I've built a nest egg with my business skills, my wife, and so I'm able to have a bit of cash to go and have some fun and do some cool things like that. And I don't have to worry about making money from it. And if money comes, maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm not as worried. I'm more worried about enjoying my life in that regard. It's a hobby to me. It's a love to me. And I would not be able to do it if it wasn't for my success in business. So that's one thing I find funny, because everyone goes on about, oh, it's all about happiness, Dan, or you're too interested in money. It's like, hey, money's given me the breathing room to really be with my beautiful son, to be with my wife, to really be there for them, to be with my family right now. We've got health concerns going on, to really just be there with people and to really have that freedom and space. And say with me learning the language even is such a blessing. And for me to start up this business, so it's given me so much, what's the word? Freedom. And so, yeah, it's not all about happiness, and it's very, I don't know, just always has to come up. What it really is people defending their lack of money, because a lot of people just don't put the focus into it. What I find funny is Dr. Demartini, who I've spoke about in other videos, He talks about how every time he's in front of a room of people, he asks them, hey, who would like to make more money? They all say they would. And he goes, all right, well, who here is financially sorted? And almost no one puts their hand up. And what he raises the point of is that we all want the money, and I'm guilty of this as well, but we don't line our values up with this. So if we look at guys like Derek Moneyberg, it's no surprise the guy's a Jew as well, funnily enough, because a lot of Jews are the most successful people in the world. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that, and he laughs about it as well. A lot of Jews, if I think of any Jewish friends I've had, they're so driven for money. They wake up each day, they really show with their actions that they're interested in money. A lot of other people I find are not. And they talk about money, they complain about money, but they don't do anything in their day to actually improve their situation with money. For example, I had a gentleman the other day going on about how he makes no money and how he wishes it was communist even, and this, that, and the other. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. And I said to him, look, at the end of the day, what have you actually done, say this last month, to increase your financial situation? So have you read a book on money? And he goes, no. Have you watched a YouTube video on money? No. Have you done anything about money? No. So why would your situation change financially? The other thing with this gentleman is he's studying. And I said, look, with all due respect, studying is valuable, sure, if I study history or whatever, but it doesn't actually benefit the market. You haven't actually helped people. If you're studying how to be a surgeon, why would you be a millionaire? You haven't even cut anyone open yet, right? You're only studying so you're ready for game day. So why would any student be financially wealthy unless they're doing something a bit different, like something online or whatever? So people who are students, say, or studying the wrong game, for example, you look at these people doing stupid courses. Like I know this girl, what was her name? Liz, and she had a $60,000 student loan, and she'd done art studies, or I think she did arts and history or art and biology or something, and she just couldn't get a job in that field. So she had this big loan. She'd spent 4 or 5 years, and so she didn't even have a career afterwards. So if we look at this, she is putting all this time in, and she couldn't even get a job to make back that 60,000. It just stops there. Then she ended up getting into the police and getting into, like, say, 60,000 a year, and now she wants socialism. And fair enough. And maybe there's some good points to socialism. I can't really see a lot of them. If there is huge possibility, you can produce a lot and you can make a lot. It's like what Tony Robbins said. Find out what people want and you get it to them. Make sure there's a market before you spend your precious and valuable time on something. So again, I hope you found this interesting, and all the best to you in your journey.